£1 for a single. Is that right? Bloody hell. I'm on my way to Brogborough Round House, which isn't as well known locally as places such as, for example, Houghton House, but I think it has just as much history associated with it, so let's have a look. It does look like it's about to tip it down though. Right, I've got off the train at the closest stop to the ruin at Ridgmont, and I've now got a roughly 15-minute walk just over there, just in that direction. This walk will take me through an industrial estate over there, and then through a small village called Brogborough, and then over to the ruin known locally as the Round House. And I'll explain that in a sec. Oh, clouds are looking a bit dodgy though. Forgot to bring a map. It could be interesting. This imposing warehouse here was the first ever Amazon warehouse in the UK, and it opened in 1999. It stands directly on the site of the former Ridgmont brickworks, which, when it was at its peak, was the second largest brickworks in the world, second only to Stuartby, which is just down the road. For this whole area on Google Earth, there's actually a 1945 aerial view available to look at on the time travel feature, which is not the case for other parts of the county, but if you compare this view with an up-to-date one, you can see the Ridgmont brickworks towards the bottom of the screen there disappear and then become the warehouse and industrial estate. The site I'm on my way to now is visible in these 1930s shots on BritainFromAbove.org. You've got shots of the brickworks here looking south, and then you can see Brogborough Manor Park Farm as it was known at this time in history. Yeah, just think about how many Amazon warehouses you see dotted across the country now. You see them everywhere, well I do anyway. But there we go, this was the very first one. Back when Amazon was pretty much still just a bookshop, online bookshop. And now look what's happened. Right, I want to be going this way. I'm walking down this path here, which is the old route of an aerial conveyor belt which used to transport clay from this clay pit here across down to the brickworks after it was excavated. I always like looking at this side-by-side maps feature to see whether clay pits and reservoirs and stuff like that, what exactly they have decimated in their construction. For instance, just up the road you've got Magpie Hall here, which was completely obliterated by this clay pit, and this was one of the Stuartby brickworks clay pits. But nope, if we go over to the Ridgmont one, it doesn't seem to have affected any buildings at all, only fields. You've got Common Farm here, which still exists to this day, surviving by the skin of its teeth. Well, I'm starting to see stuff linked to the old conveyor belt. You've got this bridge here, which I think carries a bridleway across what would have been the conveyor belt. I think this is actually the bridge I want to be crossing. You can see it here on footpath maps, the route. Yeah, let's get up there onto this bridge. Right. Might be Bit of a slippy one. It has just started to rain, which is lovely. Hold this tree for support. Oh yes, gliding up this incline. Just about. Oh, it's slightly more difficult trying to hold this flipping camera. Oh, well, I could have just taken that, could I? But oh well. Took the slightly more adventurous route there. But yeah, I've bypassed the bridge. I didn't even need to. There's an old bottle poking out there. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I've got the urge to dig that up. Is there any inscriptions? Right, it would actually annoy me if I didn't walk across this bridge now, so I've got to do it, and then I'll walk back on myself. Look at this, it looks a bit worse for wear. Plenty of wildlife consuming it. Okay, and back across. And then I've officially walked across this bridge in the direction of where I want to go. So, yeah, pleased with that. Here we go then. I've made it. Right then, this house, well, former house, is known locally, as I said before, as the Round House, due to its involvement in the English Civil War. Although I also read, when it was a functioning house, the rooms radiated outwards from a big central chimney. So walking to and from each room, you would be going in a circular motion. So maybe that's the actual reason. In 1654, this house was bought by John Oakey, and he was a colonel in the English Civil War on the parliamentarian side of things, and he was one of those who signed the death warrant of King Charles I, who obviously was later beheaded. And because of this, when Charles I's son, Charles II, was restored to the throne in 1660, John Oakey was put on trial and ended up being executed himself in a much more gruesome way. He was hanged, drawn and quartered. Here's a little preview of what that might look like. I definitely think Charles I had it a little bit better with a clean chop. But yeah, he was executed for treason and probably arrested right here at this house. So yeah, it's safe to say he was punished for that signing of the death warrant of a king. But it's not actually known whether this house existed yet, or if he bought this land and demolished a previous house and then rebuilt it as we can see today. Well, partially as we can see today. So yeah, the building definitely does date from the 17th century, but it's not known whether it predates John Oakey or if it was commissioned by him and then constructed thereafter. There's a detailed description of the architectural features that can be found on the Heritage Gateway website. Seems like there were plenty of 19th century reworkings and additions. Due to its Civil War links, Oliver Cromwell himself is said to have stayed the night here at this house during the English Civil War. Although, thinking about that for a second, this house is thought to have been built in 1654, so that was after the Civil War had ended and the Commonwealth was well and truly underway. And maybe the previous owner was a parliamentarian, or the whole thing is just fabricated, it's just a myth. There's plenty of myths about this, but it's said that he stayed the night here, don't know how many times, but he made use of the entrenchments, the medieval fortifications that this site was built on during an attack, a royalist attack, but again, not sure. This excerpt here, it says that these stories are rather dubious. Yeah, I agree. Don't know what to make of it really. I suppose we'll never know for sure. Oh, then I want to get a bit closer. Is it possible? Are there any openings where there aren't any stinging nettles just absolutely bombarding the area? Let's go around the other side. There's the ways down here. Looks like this is walked. I think this could be part of the fortifications here. This slope. This area I've found myself in here. The stuff that you'd probably find if you were metal detecting. Bet there'd be some beauties in here. I'm just having a little look to see if I can see anything on the surface. Maybe an old bottle. I love a bottle. Bit of rhubarb. Now this is a bit tedious, especially as it's wet as well. So not only are my feet getting soaked, I'm getting absolutely stung to 40 years worth of shrubbery down here. No longer looks like this, let me tell you. Right, where the hell am I? And where's this bloody house? I was right by it a minute ago. I've just gone round the corner and it's gone. Oh, I see. I've found myself right over here towards the back, but I'm a bit more towards the back than I thought I was. Oh, nice mushroom there though. What species is that? Elephant's ear, maybe? Some nice little flowers as well growing on this moss-riddled tree. But anyway, going a bit off topic here. Where's this bloody house? Go. Here we go then, a closer look. This particular facade that's still standing, pretty much the only bit that is of the main building now. Just noticed one of the lintels of the window has collapsed slightly more than the last photo I saw of it actually. Don't know if you can see it there. If you compare that to a photo from a couple of years ago, yeah, it's probably not got long, that last bit of facade that's poking up there. A valuer wrote in 1926 that this is a large poor farm and not worth much, which is interesting. But after World War II, the roundhouse was purchased by the London Brick Company as a hostel for immigrant workers of Ridgmont Brickworks, the closest site from here. But then when this brickworks closed in the 1980s, the house and grounds were sold off to a millionaire for just £1. It was sold to a millionaire for £1. It's a bloody cheapskate. But then that might well have been the worst thing to happen to it, because from then on it was left derelict, and in the early 1990s it caught fire, most likely an arson attack, and burnt to a shell. After that is what you can see now, pretty much. The grand central chimney collapsed in around 1998. Look at the state of it. One more moderate to severe storm and I think that's a goner. Bit of the interior then that remains. Full-blown trees growing inside there, as well as the inevitable brambles. These bricks here, they're in 17th century style, but I think they're 20th century repairs. These ones, though, 1600s English Civil War Commonwealth brickwork. No maintenance or anything has been done to this one. You know, you've got Houghton House just down the road, which I've been to. My first ever video, I went there. But that's looked after by English Heritage. This one, however, is clearly not. I think this whole area is under threat at the moment. I think developers want to build more warehouses around here to extend Marston Gate distribution centre. Believe that all the surrounding fields and even this area I'm standing on right now is under threat. Almost missed this little outhouse. Let's have a little explore, shall we? So lots of old tiles on the ground here. The roof is, compared to the rest of the place, fairly intact. If you were to stand here with it tipping down in this corner, you'd be fairly dry. But what's this then? A smashed up sink, toilet or something like that. Ceramics scattered all over the floor. Good God. Let's see what this is. Mary had... Is that the top of a milk bottle? An old milk bottle? A bigger chunk of, I think, a sink or a toilet. These barns are equally worse for wear. And they date a lot later than the main house. What we got here then? Little message. Cheese and onion crisps are rank. Well, that is certainly controversial. What do you reckon? Are they rank? Or are they bloody beautiful? I'd go with the latter, personally, but that top bit there is imminently about to fall, surely. Look at it. Anyway, just about a mile or so that way, there is another abandoned building in the form of a church, a medieval church. And that one, I know for a fact, is a lot easier to access. So I think I'm going to walk back that way and take a look at that place and include it as a little bonus ruin of this video. But there we have it, Brogborough Round House. What remains of. It's the 15th of June, would you believe, in the UK. 14 degrees. What's that all about then? Don't even have a waterproof on me. This tree's holding up well though, sheltering me nicely. There may be hope after all. Oh, I think it's about to end. As we say goodbye to Brogborough Round House, to Sedgenhoe Church. I might see if the Heritage Tea Room at Ridgmont station is open. I've never been in there, and feel like a coffee. This time I am going to take the easier option. Oh, that's good. Oh, really? Well, I thought about it, but looking at the pictures of inside and the clientele that might be in there, didn't really want to be traipsing in there, my dirty boots with my grass stains on my jeans and my moss covered bag, so I'll go there another day. I think let's get to the church. I just had to shelter at the station for 10 minutes to escape a few showers. Probably going to get another one shortly. Time to go under the M1. These are the ruins of Sedgenhoe Church, medieval church that dates from about 11th century, well, the earliest bits of it anyway. And then there are certain additions to it which range between then and the 19th century. Sedgenhoe was just a small settlement anyway, but the real demise of this church came in the 19th century when a brand new one was built in the village of Ridgmont, just down there. You can see it here. And people preferred that one, a nice brand new modern church, as opposed to this probably already falling apart medieval example. So then that put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, and this church began to fall into real disrepair. Protected by this quite ugly fence. Come on, is there really any need for this? Danger, unsafe structure. Well, let's make it safe and get rid of this stupid fence. It says on the north wall of the chancel there are two small single lancet windows with a decorative lintel, which is the beamy bit that goes over the windows. Well, apparently they date back to the Anglo-Saxon period, and yeah, it'll be what that's referring to will be these right here. So these lintels date back to the Anglo-Saxon period. Quite a mishmash of different alterations in there. An ominous looking cloud in the background. I think it might be about to rain again. Now you can see from this 1823 painting here that the church was rather strange looking at that point. It seems that it had already fallen into disrepair by this stage. I do have a crumpled picture of it actually on me here. But then if you look at another painting about 40 years later, just about the time Lincoln was getting shot, it looks like this. So significant work had been done to certainly the tower between those two dates. That's practically how it still looks to this day. That bit looks old, doesn't it? That former doorway, former entrance there. Looks like it. Not anymore though. Look at this for a gravestone then. James Boone. Bloody hell, I didn't know it was even possible to get to an age like that in the 19th century. 1754 to 1854. What a lifespan. Can't be many more, can't be many others that manage that. Blimey. Yeah, this churchyard continues to be used for burials. And I've seen quite a few recent ones whilst walking around this churchyard. I'm going to make a beeline for the pub, I think. Well, cheers from the Rose and Crown. Probably going to rain in a sec, so might have to go back in. Well, the weather was a bit of a disaster, but I think I've just about made an alright video. Hopefully it came out alright. Well, if you're watching me say this right now, then it likely did. So thanks for watching. Oh, nice beer that is. It's quite a nice branded ashtray. So yeah, check out Tolson for your tools and more. Even more than tools. Just a final thought though, when I returned to Ridgmont railway station, I was thinking about the fact that the station building was built in 1846. That means it had already existed for a whole 89 years by the time that the brickworks was under construction across the road in 1935. The brickworks then went on to produce millions upon millions of bricks for about 45 years until it closed in 1981. Another 18 years goes by before the colossal Amazon warehouse is built on the site in 1999, and as of making this video, that itself has been in operation for 25 years. And this whole time, that little early Victorian station building has just been standing there. It has seen the lot. And this makes me wonder, which will be the last man standing, Ridgmont Station or Amazon Warehouse? Will the station building exist for another 178 years and see the warehouse's slow demise and yet another development replace it? Or will it be the other way around? Let me know in the comments which one you think will outlive the other. And yeah, I'll see you in the next upload. Goodbye.